I'm in my studio and I'm going to talk about my process. And my process begins outside, listening to the birds and feeling the wind and just generally having an outdoor experience. I really love beautiful places, and being outside makes me feel very calm and connected to my world, not just the human world, but also the plant, the animal, the insect, the fungal, all of those worlds. They all make up the greater world. And when I'm not connected to that, I don't feel as alive and awake and present to experience my life. So I like to draw upon experiences that I've had in nature to become the images that I make in the studio. And that's where it all begins. From there, I go to the computer and I begin to work out an image of what it's eventually going to be. I draw all the lines in Adobe Illustrator, and I have to spend a lot of time thinking about how the fabric is going to flow, what color it's going to be, what size is it going to be. And then once I have the actual image worked out and all the lines drawn, I send it to the printer. I send a mirror image and the directional image, that the end result image. And I'm almost always overzealous with my lines, and I almost always print it too small to begin with and end up having to go back and get it blown up. So from there, I hang up the end result image on somewhere on my wall. It depends on how big it is. And then I trace the mirror image onto a product called Totally Stable or Wonder Under, depending on what I'm trying to accomplish. From there, it's just piece by piece by piece. I'm gonna make a video of that. And once I have the foreground finished, I usually have a giant mess because I don't clean up as I work. Even if it's months in, I very rarely clean up. I do kind of clean up, but I don't refold anything, and it's usually a pretty bad mess before I ever tidy anything up. When I pick out my fabric, I think about what color in real life things are, and I tend to err towards bright colors just because they make me happy and they make me feel alive, and that's a feeling I like. And I lay everything out and I color code it, and then I make a huge mess of it. I don't leave them in the piles. I make them in, and I don't fold anything back when I'm done with it. I know some people like to cut small pieces and work from that. I'm not one of those people. I like the big mess that I end up making most of the time. So once the foreground is made, I then really start diving into the background. I generally don't make a background anymore until I am done with the foreground, because I had to learn the hard way, because I made a really nice background for the purple coneflower quilt I just completed, and I ended up having to put the background to the side, and it was super time consuming, and it just wasn't the right background for that imagery, and it sucked. So I learned my lesson the hard way, I guess you could say. So once I have those two things together, that's usually the point in which I start doing stitch work, be it embroidery, or if it's gonna have any wool roving, if it's gonna have any Angelina fibers, which is super fun to use. That's when I do that. And it's also the same time that I typically go ahead and attach my batting. A lot of quilters quilt all the way through all 3 layers. I do not, because I like the sleek look of the back.